In Turkey, as you all know, there is not actively implemented legal regulation with AI. It's at the draft process right now. There is a commission preparing for establishing it, which is in line with EU. Well, this is nourished by data. Data-related regulations are related to AI. We could say this, as you have mentioned before, and there comes GDPR. And basically, there are some basic laws. For example, it could act like an employee. Yes, employees on the HR management. Well, employees might wonder whether an AI policy has been created in their working environment. Which employee, how they are using AI in what conditions? Well, for example, it could be about retailing sector or health sector or educational sector, consultancy service sector, our business partners and our customers. Reputation and the protection of their rights are very crucial. First and foremost, GDPR is very crucial. We are liable to bound by GDPR rules, and we are also bound with the contracts that we undersign with them. We are responsible to our business partners, customers, clients, and currently there is the law of obligations. The framework is already drawn. For example, an employee, because of its mistake, if there comes a damage, well, one of the basic regulations stipulates that there should be perfect liability of the employer. As employers, we are the responsible side, or as on the health sector. If a hospital makes if the hospital administration makes the doctors use AI to put the diagnosis, this is very critical. Maybe we need to check whether doctors fulfill their liabilities by using AI tools. If they are not using it, maybe they will be given a different liability rate. Again, if we have a look at the GDPR, there is this law number 11. If data is processed by automatic systems like AI, data owner, data responsible, well, these are called as entities, corporate entities. You might say that when you make an application to a business place, there could be an AI agent or there could be a machine learning system. Why am I not accepted to this position? Why my medical condition is not diagnosed properly? Why I was not given the credit or loan? If there is just automatical analysis, then there is no need to check whether AI law is enacted in our country, while data responsible people could be applied at based on this law number 11. Within 30 days, they should answer to these applications. It might not be in line with the complaints, by the way. We could audit these processes. Today, again, sanctions and conformity liabilities should be brought according to all levels of companies. Otherwise, these problems will go on and on. Otherwise, the law cannot be implemented. This is the risk that we are facing.
First, I'll take you to the US and bring you back to Europe. All the companies, 80% of the companies that develop the LLMs are there in California, in Silicon Valley. And in the US, particularly in the Trump period, there was an approach to not regulate AI, but California is an exception because California state, where the centers of these companies are, they had two important legal introductions. One is in the communication of adults, or not adults, adolescents. Thoughts like high addiction and suicide, such models need to be implemented and they need to be audited and inspected. And there's a very important legal arrangement about security. So in the US, when you look at it across the US, there are differences from state to state. And as for the European Union, ChatGPT was not around when the first draft was published in 2021, but it led to huge huge debates. Even when the law was being defined, how are we going to define this? Shall we include LLMs? If we don't, will Europe be behind innovations, be faced with the US and China? Let's go to China real fast. There's a new legal arrangement. If a content has been created with AI, this definitely needs to be indicated, mentioned.
I could, of course, show courtesy before the British Queen, but I wouldn't do it before my aunt, right? Well, it's about context, and language models are going to make mistakes, and hallucination is like a sugar-coated way of describing it. Well, it's like bugs of the computers, mistakes or errors, however you name it. Elimination of these bugs, I think this is which is breaking our hope. And it's really difficult to eliminate them. These Groks, these Geminis, ChatGPTs, companies will find it really difficult to eliminate these bugs. It is very difficult for the brightest researchers working there because of its nature, like our brains. As you all know, in newspapers, some news are issued. Since this is Turkey, the part for the love in our brain is now revealed on the headlines. You will see it, but some people might believe in them, some people will just laugh at it. So these models work like our brains. They are highly integrated to each other. It's a really scattered, distributed system. Millions of calculators are integrated to each other with high number of connections. They are all connected to each other. This is the architect that we're speaking about with the description of the computer people. It's architecture. Yes, this is what the architecture result in terms of causality. This is the result. My brain helps me to walk like this or talk like this or whatever it is. In this architecture, ChatGPT or other tools should be approached in this way.
It gives them the capability or the talent to behave that way. But this infrastructure, as the computer professionals call it, debugging the structure, that is freeing them of removing the mistakes, is difficult because it is difficult to localize the mistakes themselves. In this big system, in this big network, it is the people's minds, memories cannot perceive it, conceive it. So you need to perceive it using computers, the computer itself, and need be. So that is, as the computer professionals call it, there's a recursive structure there. You know, how can you debug ChatGPT in the best way possible? Most probably using ChatGPT, highly likely, and unfortunately, because as a debugging system as sophisticated as ChatGPT, you know, perhaps it will be as expensive as ChatGPT. How to debug ChatGPT? Perhaps by using Grok. And this is related to my previous comment. So these machines are reality or fact-finding coalitions of sorts for correcting each other's mistakes. And this we're talking about in an ideal world. Why are we talking about AI, and why did we bring AI and ethics together? Now, when we talk about AI, it is in our lives for a long time because it emerged 70 years ago. And for a long time now, in different areas, it is being used effectively in banking, by telecom operators, decision support systems. But something else happened 3 years ago. And It wasn't even corporate, you know, it touched the end user with ChatGPT. So everyone's got a very different level and dimension of AI, and that is at the fingertips of everyone. You know, we will discuss the pros and cons on it, but all of a sudden, everyone's perspective on AI changed. So this is no longer an institutional, corporate, or an academic debate, but it is rather it is inside the daily lives of human beings, individuals, and it is in our day we can associate it with our daily lives. And we will be talking about this. We're not asking whether it's going to have an impact. It will have an impact. And the actual question must be, how do we manage this impact? There are, of course, different reports and different researches, and some could be too optimistic, or some would be, you know, the impact could be faster than expected. But Goldman Sachs has a report which says the GNDPs by 2030 it will increase by 7%, and about 300 million full-time jobs can be transformed. And OpenAI, and a university has a study about OpenAI which says that 80% of the workforce in the US will be affected in one way or another. It says how to use AI. Now there's a second concept in our lives, AI agents, or in Turkish, do we call them agents? Or yeah, agents. We call them in Turkish agents as well. Now, we see chatbots and we're talking about it, but they are autonomous, they can work on their own, and they can do works on our own. They can use computers, they can operate SAPs, they can use your systems, or they can conduct a research about your client online, and can monitor the news about your suppliers and act accordingly. Perhaps you have seen the promotions of OpenAI. They make hotel bookings, they make vacation plans, and they don't work that bad actually. And you can think of them as virtual employees. You know, in the next 1 or 2 years, they are going to be more influential in our lives. And Andres Sanoves, this is one of the famous investors in the industry, and he says the next big platform, these are the AI agents. And you can think of it this way, and I'm going to move into the topic as follows. These are virtual employees in our business lives. They are going to be a part of our team, and this is like our humanitarian values and ethical values, and I think we need to discuss them. And these are going to be our employees, HR departments and legal departments. So this is like a very smart, clever individual who can make mistakes. It's a virtual employer. They can make mistakes because they act fast. So when I think of it this way, I can see more clearly where I want to position themselves, so they don't appear before the client, or let's say they can do the preliminary reading of a contract, but I don't base my decisions accordingly. So that would be my general recommendation. You know, it's a very effective employee as of yet, but they can make mistakes, and naturally we have the responsibility because we're using it. So in certain stages, it has had big advances, big progresses, and even if it does not fully grasp the world, it is very successful. And that is we expect it to develop and progress further. But in our lives, there are new problems, new skills, new talents, or new ideas that we will think about. So in the upcoming years, you said 1 year is a long period, and indeed, there will be entirely different problems or entirely different challenges that we will be seeing. So about AI, we will be talking about the AI related issues.